42 years ago, 1982, the last time someone was named as national hero. The question emerges, is the group of heroes a closed shop? Why not Bolt? Why not Bob? Why not Miss Lou in the pantheon of the greats, the outstanding Jamaicans who wear the highest honor this nation has to offer? And that's a discussion we're going to have today on Lead Story, the Friday edition. Why not Bob? Why not Bolt? Why not Miss Lou in the group of those Jamaicans we look up to and refer to as national heroes? Come have the conversation with me. Welcome to Lead Story on this Friday here on CVM TV. There is no doubt that Bob Marley is an icon. He's the man responsible for many people knowing about Jamaica, having an interest in Jamaica, and globally there is no individual who's been a greater ambassador for this country than Bob Marley. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find another individual in history who has done more in an ambassadorial role for his country than Bob Marley has done for this nation, yet Bob Marley is not a national hero. Usain Bolt of modern times has done so much to burnish the country's reputation that supporters of the Trelawney native will say, well, why is he not in the pantheon of the legends, that special group of people who we call national heroes? And then the same argument is made for our cultural doyen, Louise Bennett Coverley. Passed many years now, but her legacy lives on and will live on until the director yells cut and Earth moves into a different realm. Why is Miss Lou not a national hero? And so we're going to have the conversation today with two learned gentlemen of the culture and socio-cultural happenings for their perspective on whether or not these three should be in that group, or even if there should be a new category for people like the three that I've mentioned. Before we do that, though, let's set the scene for the discussion. We prepared this nugget for you to set the context for the discussion.
Jamaica has long celebrated the achievements of its most influential figures. Louise Bennett Coverley, Usain Bolt, and Bob Marley, each in their own right, have become cultural and global icons. Yet, despite being honored with some of the highest national awards, they remain notably absent from the list of official national heroes. Miss Lou, as she was affectionately known, transformed Jamaican cultural identity by elevating the use of patois through poetry and theater. Her legacy paved the way for generations to embrace the beauty of their native tongue unapologetically. Meanwhile, Usain, dubbed the fastest man in the world, redefined athletic greatness. His dominance on the track placed Jamaica firmly on the global sporting map, lifting the sport of track and field from inevitable irrelevance, and led the pack of athletes who made Jamaica a sporting heavyweight. And then there's Jamaica's favorite poster stamp, Bob Marley, whose music became the soundtrack of a global movement for peace, love, and justice. So much so, the BBC named the Exodus the album of the 20th century. But locally, the legend risked his life to perform for his home country with the intention of bringing peace to a country rife with political violence. Marley's reggae anthems immortalized the Rastafarian message and propelled Jamaica to the forefront of international music culture. And let's be honest, a Marley souvenir is a must for any tourist to Jamaica. All three have been recognized by the Jamaican government for their contributions. Miss Lou and Bob Marley were awarded the Order of Merit, while Bolt received the Order of Jamaica for his unparalleled athletic achievements. But the question remains, why aren't they officially declared national heroes? The title of national hero is deeply rooted in Jamaica's historical fight for freedom and independence. Current heroes like Marcus Garvey, Nanny of the Maroons, and Samuel Sharp represent figures who directly resisted oppression, led rebellions, or championed liberation. In contrast, Bennett, Bolt, and Marley, while cultural revolutionaries, did not engage in political or military struggles in the same way. But our neighbors in Barbados see it differently. While Jamaicans may say Rihanna is Jamaican, the Barbados government ensured her Bajan heritage, naming her a national hero alongside cricket legend Sir Gary Sobers, listed with national freedom fighters like Boosa. So should we revisit the idea of heroism? What value would it bring to give our cultural superstars the ultimate national honor? We discuss on Lead Story.
Yeah, something to provoke the thoughts. After the break, I'll introduce my guests and we'll get right into it. This is Lead Story on CVM TV.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Hi everyone, my name is Kurt Dunn.
Greetings from Kelly's Kelly Yoga.
Hey, it's Robin Morrison, and I am your National Physical Activity Specialist. And it's time to make a move.
Jamaica, let's get moving again. Season 2 of the Ministry of Health and Wellness Jamaica Move series is here. Join us Wednesdays at 5 a.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on CVM TV. Let's get moving.
Make a move now.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on this Friday on CVM TV. All right, so let me get right into it now. Dr. Dennis Howard is joining me, and so too is the gentleman, Sidney Bartley. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Lead Story.
Thanks for having me.
Good. All right, if I may go with Sir Sidney first. Where do you stand on this argument? Bolt, Marley, Miss Lou, into the hallowed halls of national hero. Are you for it or not? And defend your position if you may.
No. I think you're starting at the wrong place. I think you should start by identifying what are the elements that make national hero. And one of the challenges we have in Jamaica is that Jamaica has a history of outstanding persons. Because even as you speak about the 3 persons you name, you've got to remember that there has been a movement, for example, to include Taki, which is properly called Tachi, from St. Mary. There's been a discussion about Kojo, the Maroon chief who signed the treaty with the British in 1738 because of the role the Maroons play in the liberation struggle. You may also be omitting Kwao from Charlestown Maroon community. You may be overlooking quite a few persons who have worked within the whole realm of liberation. Now, this is a challenge you have. All the national heroes that are named so far are persons, as you said in your introduction, persons who have contributed to the development, to the liberation of the Jamaican people, to the liberation of our people from slavery. And I want to add another name, Dottie Bookman, the Maroon who went to Haiti and started the Haitian Revolution that Toussaint Louverture took over. And then Dessalines, that in the end Haiti became the first black republic of the Western Hemisphere. What about Bookman? So the issue that we need to look at is not to dive into the question and say what if and why not. It's perhaps for us to understand, we need to understand Jamaica. Jamaica, there's a Cuban who told me once, a Cuban cinematographer, who told me once that Jamaica has the most filmable characters in the world. And he doesn't understand why there are not more films about Jamaican heroes.
Yes.
And that's the word he used.
Yes.
And so what we have to do in this discussion is situate the discussion rather than just arbitrarily saying Miss Lou, Bob Marley, Usain Bolt. It's to situate the discussion.
So here's the thing, Sir Sidney.
Perhaps Jamaica this is where I like to put it.
Yes.
Perhaps Jamaica needs to identify all those who have been heroes in the struggle for our freedom, for our liberation, which is foundational to who we are.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, Sir Sidney. The reason I went right into the question is supported by what you articulated in your answer. If you ask 15 people, or if you have a plebiscite of more than those, you're going to get different names and you're going to get different bases for those persons, the claims for them individually to enter the pantheon. So for the time we have, and for the purposes of this discussion, it was about those three, even as you correctly say, many others could be added to the group, including those three who would have a strong claim to entering the hallowed halls. So it's not to narrow the discussion.
And I'll leave Dennis to come in. But where I was going is this.
Yes.
That perhaps now, I was just saying situating the discussion. Perhaps now we need to move away. Now that we have been free, now that we have been independent, now that we are dealt with political independence, perhaps we need to understand heroism in a different way.
Yes.
And that will probably support your argument.
Right.
That heroism now becomes the Jamaican who is able to liberate, to challenge the world stage and position Jamaica in such a way that is nothing short of heroic.
But as I invite Dr. Howard into the conversation, Sir Sidney, hold on. What I'm saying is this. There are many Jamaicans who would struggle to place into perspective several of the names you've mentioned. Many people who are scholars and who are historians would know very well the antecedents of those you've named. The fact of the three names I mentioned are the three names which now have such currency that it demands that they be spoken of in light of the discussion about whether or not the group of seven needs to be expanded. It's as simple as that. So I'll come back to you though. Dr. Howard, on the point of the group of heroes that we have, and if these three, and I'm not saying only these three, but the claims for these three to supplement that group of seven people, one for each day of the week, who we have and who we respect as heroes in this land.
Absolutely, I'm in support of, especially Bob Marley and Miss Lou. I've been an advocate of that because Sidney talks about liberation. I fail to understand why we would not understand that Miss Lou was a liberator. Exactly. And sometimes we have done a disservice to Miss Lou with the kind of caricaturing or the characterization of her as the lady of poetry. Miss Lou was a scholar. Miss Lou was a revolutionary. She was a creative genius. She was a researcher. She went around and collected all of the folk songs that were basically dying out in a sense. And she went around, collected a lot of them, recorded these songs. She taught Harry Belafonte the famous Banana Boat song, Deo, which he turned into an international hit. She also, through the use of our Jamaican language, and I'm not going to call it Patois or Creole, it is Jamaican language. She basically, in a sense, used the language, but also sent messages of decolonization, African pride, Jamaican pride, rural pride, all of these in Miss Lou's work. So sometimes we look at her in a very one-sided kind of situation. And Bob Marley is another liberator. His music, his philosophies. I remember the days when Bob Marley, it was a deliberate thing for him to talk in Jamaican,
Yes.
He could have, adopted and have an accent just like our athletes and others of that time in the 70s and the 80s. But he was very deliberate and very visionary and intentional. And what he achieved is liberatory. And he's a liberator in a sense, because liberation armies all over Africa and Latin America use his music as inspiration. So I like what Sydney said in terms of broadening the conversation. But if we want to focus on Usain Bolt, Bob Marley, and
Miss Lou,
they're well deserving.
Hold the point there, Dr. Howard. Hold the point there, Dr. Howard. I have to take the break. Let's take the break and come back with more. The time we have is for this discussion. If we had the time for a symposium, there'd be many individuals who will be examining their claims for entry into those hallowed halls. This is Lead Story on CVM TV. More after the break.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Join us this Sunday, October 20 at 10:30 a.m. for the broadcast of the 2024 National Heritage Week Church Service under the theme, One Love, One People, One Heritage, from the High Holborn Street Church of God. That's the National Heritage Week Church Service, right here on CVM.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Those who have been accorded hero status, that shop should be closed at 7. The fact is that 5 of these 7 national heroes were accorded hero status in 1969. The other 2, they were accorded hero status in 1982. So it's been 42 years since we elevated anyone into that pantheon, and it begs, the question emerges as to, are we saying that nobody is worthy of elevation into that group? Or maybe, as some commentators have said, we need to create a different category for everyone else, given the foundational work that those 7 people did in establishing and shaping the island Jamaica. I have Sir Sidney Bartley with me and Dr. Dennis Howard looking at this issue of 3 people specifically, 3 people who, if you look at conversations taking place now in traditional and on social media, these are 3 of the names most prominent when people talk about whether or not the list of 7 should be increased. So Sidney, I come back to you and ask you about the unique position that you say in St. Leopold is in, because for those who say he should be elevated, they in my view, are not reconciling with the fact that he is a living, breathing human being, and that in itself presents certain challenges, because you expect your hero to acquit themselves in a particular way over the course of their life, and given the things that can happen in living life, there may be a danger in making that move. Would that be a limitation to Bolt even being considered for that?
No. My position is this, I am in support of this discussion. What I want us to do is to situate the discussion outside of emotion. So I agree with what Dennis just said. We look Louis Bennett has been a liberator in a similar way to Onani was a liberator. It's just that in the modern context, the liberation element of Louis Bennett is the freeing of the Jamaican mentality to accept the Jamaican language, and not only to accept it, but to project it as a part of our national identity in ways in which we might not have done so before.
Yes.
So Louis Bennett, that's why I keep saying to you, you know, you have to look at the past and see what was used in the past.
Yes.
In the present, Bob Marley has liberated. There is no other individual who has taken on the Jamaican identity to the point where if you say Jamaica abroad, people say Bob Marley. The work that Bob Marley has done internationally in projecting Jamaican identity, promoting Jamaican music, all of that is heroic in itself. Usain Bolt has transformed the landscape of global track and field in ways that has never been done before. Yes, we've had great runners before. We've had Arthur Wind, we've had Donald Corey. But what Usain Bolt has done far more than the others is not just that he has won races. Everybody is now mimicking Usain Bolt. Every senior athlete who is trying to do something internationally in the Olympics or World Championship, when they're not making the sign, looking up, doing all sort of things, the mimicry and the heroism of Usain Bolt is there. Again, at his point, he has done that. And for me, it has nothing to do with whether it's a living and breathing human being. We must understand that God is the only perfect being. And so within the heroic elements of our people, there will always be imperfections.
Yes.
And we must not continue to believe that a hero has no imperfections.
So let me put the same question to Dr. Howard. Dr. Howard, let me ask you this though. The fact of Bolt being present with us now, yes. Is it a minor point to hold that against him, given that everybody else, according to hero status, is gone? We can look back at the totality of their life, and here it is. We have one outstanding candidate who has the potential to be even greater than he is now, but also has the potential to transgress. Do you take that leap to put him into that group, given the real possibility that something could go left?
But you look at the man's record. Where is the transgression? The man is a global superstar.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is that global superstars, as we know, in this era of celebrity culture, are making mistakes and blunders left, right, and center.
Human beings always do.
Usain Bolt has not been in that category in any serious way. So, based on his track record as a living person, the only reason we are in a controversy with Bolt recently now is because of the financial
SSL,
issue.
yes.
But come on, as Sidney said, you know, no human being is fallible, and his heroic status should not be diminished because of, in the future, some transgression. Come on, you know, we can, every Martin Luther King, JFK, and we can go down the line even with Jamaicans that even some of our national heroes. If we are to be very frank, we'll talk about their vices and their frailties, you know, and that don't detract from the hero status.
Yeah.
George William Gordon's father was a slave owner.
Yes. Yes. So gentlemen, remember, you know, I'm in the role.
One of our heroes was a murder, killed somebody.
Yeah, I'm in the role, gentlemen. I'm in the role of being the one to provoke your thoughts with what people are saying when they say he yes, him yes, she no. So I'm not giving you my opinion, because for me, Bolt is the supernova of my generation. He's the non-pareil without equal. So I just have to promote the argument in my capacity as the journalist. I say this before we go, gentlemen. I say this before we go. So am I hearing in totality, Dr. Howard and Sir Sidney Bartley, that both of you are saying that based on credentials, these three individuals are more than worthy of such consideration to be elevated into the Hall of Heroes? Is that what you're saying, Dr. Howard?
Absolutely, and it is time that we shift from political heroes to our cultural heroes, because culture is the most significant aspect of Jamaican reality.
Hear you on that.
Our culture is what makes Jamaica the cultural superstate.
Yes.
Taken from Sydney's language,
yes,
that we are.
So Sidney, let me hear you. The same thing I'm putting to you. Are you saying that these three are worthy, more than worthy of consideration for elevation?
Let me put it this way. When Americans talk, they love to talk about the land of the free and the brave.
Yes.
The elevation of cultural heroes in this land of culture gives our people an opportunity to see themselves in their daily lives as being able to achieve larger than life situations. It is what happens when you don't think. When you think all heroes are dead, then you think that you are limited.
Yes.
When heroes come alive within the cultural fabric of the country, when the hero emerges, Bob Marley, yes, Rastafari, but Jamaica boasts that we have given the world the only new religion of the 20th century, Rastafari. So why do we boast that if we are going to knock Bob Marley's Rastafari identity? It is a part of the Jamaican identity.
Yes.
And so it allows ordinary young people, track and field people, to look at Usain Bolt and say to themselves, oh my gosh, I can do that.
I hear you, gentlemen.
When he does very well,
yes,
and we don't acknowledge it in its fullness,
yes,
we also do the opposite.
I hear you.
Something to look up to,
yeah,
to proud about.
Yes.
Just before I close, remember,
yes,
every time Bolt ran in the Olympics, the whole halfway tree square is full.
Yes.
And every Jamaican has a flag.
Point made.
Very few people have been able to do that in this country.
Point made. Gentlemen, your words resound this evening. Thank you very much for the insight, for the analysis, and for the perspective. As far as I'm concerned, it's a no-brainer. Bolt, it's a yes for me every day of the week. Miss Lou, every day, and I agree with what Sir Sidney said. Miss Lou is more than just the language and patois and all of this. She was, as Dennis Howard said, a liberator. She freed minds, and she made us feel so much better about themselves. Notice when a newsreader is presenting the bulletin, and they drift into patois, the language they speak, the way they speak every day outside of being on here. People say, oh, she made a mistake or he made a mistake. Rubbish. It's your natural language you're speaking. You want to sound like the Queen in England or the Prince or the King in Scotland? We're not talking like them. What's their language? We should honor our Jamaicanness, and Miss Lou has gone a long way, a far way, into making that a reality. And of course, Bob, it's a no-brainer. The greatest Jamaican who ever lived. We have to go. Curling is sitting by with the news at 7.
Join us this Sunday, October 20 at 10:30 a.m. for the broadcast of the 2024 National Heritage Week Church Service under the theme, One Love, One People, One Heritage, from the High Holborn Street Church of God. That's the National Heritage Week Church Service, right here on CVM.
Fan Central Pitside, brought to you by Edgechem, AIM Financial Corporation, Texaco, and Connex.
Small business owners and independent contractors get affordable insurance with Sagicor Pro Shield. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Hi everyone, my name is Kurt Dunn.
Greetings from Kelly's Kelly Yoga.
Hey, it's Robin Morrison, and I am your National Physical Activity Specialist. And it's time to make a move.
Jamaica. Let's get moving again. Season 2 of the Ministry of Health and Wellness Jamaica Move series is here. Join us Wednesdays at 5 a.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on CVM TV. Let's get moving.
Make a move now.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, unveiling the archives, a look into the work of the FINSAC Commission of Inquiry. Party promoters peeved why they stormed out of a stakeholders' town hall. Decades in the making, Kingston to be redeveloped by 2029. Also this evening, traditional flavors with Curlin Brown, series premiere. In the business report, exploring new territory, Ford's latest SUV on the market. While in sports, New Zealand beat West Indies in Women's T20 World Cup. This is CVM News at 7. Here is Curlin Brown.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Friday, October 18, 2024, the start of our weekend edition. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Curlin Brown. Good evening. Well, the FINSAC Commission archives were made public on Thursday, and so our newsroom has been reading through, gaining unprecedented insight into the body's work during the collapse. Central to the crisis was personal loss. Ramon Gordon is here with lots more. Ramon, over to you.
Good evening, Curlin. A very good evening to our viewers. Now, in 2008, the attorney representing former Finance Minister Dr. Omar Davies defended his client's role during the collapse of Jamaica's financial sector in the 1990s. The collapse is often attributed to the government's high interest rate policy at the time. Here's former Finance Minister Audley Shaw in 2007.
The high interest rate policy of Omar and the PNP has been one of the most destructive forces in the history of Jamaica's economy.
However, speaking with CVM News on Thursday, Dr. Davies maintained his decades-long conviction that it's not as simple.
FINSAC was established in order to address problems, but somehow the story has been twisted that FINSAC is blamed as the cause of the problem.
CVM News has been combing the now public FINSAC Commission archives, exploring personal accounts of entrepreneurs who fell victim to the economic turmoil, which plunged many into unimaginable debt. Take, for instance, the plight of one man we'll call Debtor One. In 1992, he borrowed $4 million from a reputable commercial bank to invest in his dreams. His sights were set on building something that would not only support his family, but also contribute to the growing economy of his town. He put up his prized property, a sprawling commercial complex valued at $400 million as collateral, confident that with hard work and perseverance, he would repay the loan and expand his business further. As the 1990s wore on, the economy faltered, and like many other banks, the institution from which Debtor One borrowed collapsed. The government intervened and his loan, along with many others, was sold off to the Jamaica Redevelopment Foundation, JRF, a foreign-owned company. But, unbeknownst to Debtor One, this transaction was the beginning of a nightmare that would strip him of everything he worked for. By 2008, he was shocked to learn that what started as a manageable $4 million loan had ballooned into an incomprehensible debt of over $1 billion Jamaican dollars, an amount that would be near impossible for even the most thriving businesses to repay.
That has been quite extensive so far. Should we even be expecting more?
Curlin, we've just scratched the surface. I'm telling you, the newsroom is on the ball, and you can expect to see more developments coming out of that archives in the coming days. It's a lot of exciting information, and I personally can't wait to dive right in.
Good work. We can't wait either.
Hey.
Continuing now, a group of party promoters marched out of a town hall meeting in Manchester, voicing discontent with the security regulations now in place, arguing the restrictions are harming their businesses. Britannia Witter reports.
Tensions flared at a recent town hall meeting organized by a Member of Parliament for Manchester Central, Rhoda Moy Crawford, as disgruntled party operators abruptly stormed out, expressing frustration over new regulations imposed by the police. The meeting, attended by business operators and government officials, was intended to address the impact of newly enforced security measures as means to combat the parish's recent surge in murders. Crawford reminded the audience of the reason for the town hall.
The goal of all of us has to be, first and foremost, to give the security forces the necessary support that they need to fight this crime monster. They are the ones with the expertise.
Citing her familiarity with small businesses, Crawford emphasized that life is more important. Therefore, she's urging business folk to conform with the rules a little longer.
And I have aunties running shop to and bar. So I know what the concerns are. But I'm going to appeal to you as your Member of Parliament. We don't want anybody to lose their livelihood. We don't want you to lose business. But I would much prefer that we lose business than lose more lives. So if it means that the curfews have to be tolerated for a little longer, I'm just asking, especially the party promoters and the small business operators, to just bear with the police just a little bit more so that the space can become safe.
Meanwhile, one party promoter, seemingly frustrated by the perceived lack of constructive dialogue, decided to leave the meeting.
Well, Dr. Horace Chang in that talk said, a scramble, and he didn't need an interpreter to tell you where he must say, because nobody in the understand what he must say. He have nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever. He have nothing to do with it.
She argued that the curfews are stifling nightlife and hampering small businesses, while other establishments are allowed to remain open.
Split up and lock down the place. Then lock down our small businesses. For example, full regular restaurant, full regular bars. And the club them open, regular club can open, and KFC now lock. The gathering, me I try to understand. You say, you have churches, you have other places, market, you have the church, you have the market, you have the parties. None of that no go on in the party. It go on in the market, right? Then I lock down the market.
Britannia Witter, CVM News.
And still in Manchester, the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, visited the parish recently, addressing concerns over a recent increase in homicides and violent crime. Our reporter Raheem White has details on the measures being implemented to combat crime in the area.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang expressed his concerns over the recent surge in violent crimes in Manchester, particularly homicides, which have now reached 44 for the year, a 16% reduction compared to the same period last year. While the number is not relevantly high compared to the other parishes, it is significant for Manchester, which has historically had low levels of violent crimes.
A big uptick in relatively speaking, but it's still there in the 40s, which is unusual for Manchester. So I came to meet with the police for her divisional command in Manchester. Had a full brief on incident, and I would say they seem to be pretty much in full grasp of the information in terms of the people who are perpetrators. They seem to have a good feel of who the perpetrators are. They have identified much of the what could be considered the root cause of the problem, which is some internal conflict in small gangs.
During his visit, Minister Chang met with law enforcement officials and commended their efforts in solving serious crimes. He highlighted that they have resolved 76% of the cases so far. According to the minister, much of the violence is driven by conflicts between small gangs, often over money, as well as the involvement of criminal players from overseas.
They have had significant success in apprehending the local players. Indeed, it's maybe one of the highest rate of apprehension. I think they resolved some 76% of the severe crime in the parish. And I want to commend the commander, Superintendent Duncan and his team for the work they're doing.
The minister acknowledged that the rise in crime is also linked to scamming activities, which have been increasing in the parish. He noted that scamming, or advance fee fraud, has led to heightened tensions between the gangs, leading to more violent confrontations, including counter-killings. Dr. Chang assured the public that the government is committed to supporting law enforcement by providing more resources. He mentioned that more police vehicles, CCTV cameras, and enhanced intelligence gathering tools will be deployed to help bring the situation under control.
I can say we have already finally ordered, we are paying down and developing this C5 Center for the police, which is their central command, cybersecurity and communication center, which is costly but improves police efficiency significantly. We're going to acquire more vehicles for them this year, and we're going to put in the CCTV cameras across the island.
He urged the community to cooperate with the police by providing any information that could help in identifying those responsible for the violence. He stressed that while curfews and increased patrols have been implemented to protect residents, the support of the community is critical to restoring peace to the parish.
We have no choice, and I'm saying, speaking, we are the police, have no choice but to take all possible action to protect the community and the lives of the people in the community and to make it safe. And part of that is to put in the curfews to manage the flow of activity in the community.
Raheem White, CVM News.
Stay where you are. We've got lots more to come. This is CVM News at 7.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of we. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
J&J, Montego Bay's leading pharmacy, is now open at shops 21 to 24 Harbour City Mall, with friendly staff filling your prescription while you wait in comfort. There's a special place for private conversations for all hard-to-get drugs, prescriptions, or over-the-counter medication, makeup, fragrances, gifts, household items, and much more. You can find it all here at J&J Harbour City. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call 876-952-7386. WhatsApp 876-997-7644. We serve with care.
What's your story? What's your sign? You're dreamers. Don't care what other people say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive. We come alive. We come alive. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive.
Welcome back. Glad you stayed with us. You know, for years, the anticipated redevelopment of downtown Kingston has been a topic of discussion among residents, policymakers, and business interests. Well, a significant breakthrough has taken place. The Finance Ministry has secured a substantial loan from the World Bank, paving the way for the long-awaited facelift of the city's core. The project aims to revitalize urban infrastructure, enhance public spaces, and stimulate economic growth. Trisha Gay Kelly is our reporter.
Downtown Kingston, popular for its business district, is also a historical highlight in Jamaica. It's for this reason the government is redeveloping the space, specifically the waterfront, where many locals and tourists can enjoy a scenic view. On Friday, members of the Finance Ministry met with representatives from the World Bank for a visibility ceremony where a loan agreement was signed for the development of a park in the busy city. $12 million or approximately 1.9 billion Jamaican dollars will be loaned to the Finance Ministry. Country Director for the Latin America and Caribbean region, Lilia Burunchuk, says the development will span a 5-year period.
We're starting with the design, which then will be implemented as part of phase 2, but we're also starting many of the other activities that I mentioned in terms of community support, in terms of supporting small businesses, and those are going to take longer until the end of 2029.
She adds, however, that the hope is for the first phase, which is the design aspect, to be completed in a little over a year from now. But this development is not a walk in the park. General Manager at the Urban Development Corporation, Robert Honnigan, says it's about reshaping the image of downtown Kingston.
The redevelopment of Kingston's waterfront is more than just a facelift. It's a bold statement of intent aimed at transforming the area into a vibrant, inclusive space where Jamaicans can come together to celebrate our culture, history, and community.
The park will also facilitate entrepreneurs. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the development is only an enhancement of what downtown already is.
This park is being designed with people in mind. The people of downtown Kingston, the small businesses that operate, having a public space that people can enjoy. Already downtown represents that. On a holiday weekend, it is full. And this is without substantial investment. Just imagine, we can't imagine what it will be when we have a full park developed on downtown Kingston and Ocean Boulevard is pedestrianized.
Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
More conversations surrounding the conditions of Jamaica's courts and processes are making the headlines again. This time to the Senate, where some legislators are troubled about the infrastructure. Now, Courtney Lewis observed the proceedings and she has joined me on set here to tell us more. Courtney?
Well, Caroline, while senators were able to pass the bill for the amendment of the Judicature Rules of the Court Amendment Act of 2024, the judiciary and the conditions under which they work became a point of concern for some. The senators, though highlighting the strides made towards enhancing infrastructure, blamed snags in procurement and finance for the justice system's rundown.
Concerns surrounding the infrastructure of Jamaica's courts came to the fore in the Upper House Friday, following recently expressed concern over the state of the nation's courts. Senator Lambert Brown maintains it hinders swift justice.
The Minister of Justice, you had the Chief Justice speaking to the state of our courts. There have been threats from the staff in the courts. There have been photographs and videos of the dilapidated state of several court buildings throughout the country.
He highlighted record-keeping issues and poor sanitary conveniences. In response, Government Senator Abka Fitz-Henley defended the government's work on infrastructure development. Henley blamed the FinSAC-era government's economic failings for slow progress.
The FinSAC archives were published this week, and I welcome that. I believe that's a step in the right direction because it will serve as a reminder to current generations and future generations of the poor policies pursued by our former PNP administration that set this country back decades And therefore, the current administration has to be judicious in terms of use of resources to upgrade certain sectors.
Senator Johnson Smith highlighted the government's improvements to the courts, including the expansion of the Court of Appeal, the establishment of new courts, justice centers, and technology in the courts. But the procurement process has stalled further works.
It is clear at every level of government that the system has overcorrected itself. Procurement now has become a bar to necessarily achieving the most effective, the best value for money, and the most efficient provision of service delivery to the people of Jamaica. There needs to be a review of procurement processes at every level in order for us to be able to do what people need.
She notes despite plans in place, $430 million allocated to renovations of justice centers remains unspent. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
We now premiere a series, Traditional Flavors, which is quite timely, coming days before a national holiday. You know, migration threatens aspects of generational knowledge, but from our out of many one people, we want to reserve and value traditions.
My name is Dr. Chukwemeka Victor Chiena. I am from Nigeria. In fact, just by my right-hand side is the Nigerian High Commission here in Kingston, Jamaica, with a lovely ambience. You can see it. Yes. I am on my way to Coronation Market, downtown Kingston, to get one among the many famous, delicious items which, when you put them together, you get something much more delicious, known as yam.
Well, once his feet hit the ground, he could tell there was something off on a busy Saturday market day. The Nigerian from the Igbo tribe, who's been living in Jamaica for the past 14 years, also knew, although he was leaving from a meeting, based on his own upbringing and his interactions with over 5 high schools and communities, some in the inner city where he provides psychosocial intervention, he was a standout. But he was street smart enough and knew exactly where to go to not only feel more comfortable, but flow with the crowd.
This is really downtown Coronation Market.
Next stop, the prized Trelawney yellow yam, widely linked to the sprint legend Usain Bolt.
Looks so nice.
What drew you to this particular yam, though?
It's because of the quality. See, this is really yellow yam, and this yellow yam here looks like what we have back home in Nigeria. That's exactly how our yam looks.
The pride of place for the yellow yam as a staple for the Igbo people and Jamaicans is preserved in our yam festivals and the variety of dishes.
What are we going to be making today?
Today we'll be making porridge yam.
Yup, you heard correctly, porridge yam. And this popular green leafy vegetable used in Jamaica was also sourced at the Coronation Market for the Nigerian dish you must see being prepared next Friday on Traditional Flavors.
Hallelujah,
I'm sure you want to know what they were singing. The words to that song, I'll tell you next week. Stay where you are. Coming up next, the business segment.
Jamaica, get ready! Saturday, October 26th, live on the lawns of Huey Mona. It's Boys to Men.
your favorite hits. Also performing live, Tess and Chin and Lee Lycan. Get your tickets now at caribtix.com, Kingston, Jer, and Fontana. Saturday, October 26, 2024. It's Boys to Men live on the lawns of Uimona. Starts at 8 p.m. Sponsored by Supreme Ventures, Mayberry, Main Event, Island Grill, and Courtly Hospitality Group.
Government and public sector, making the systems better to give you the quality and service you deserve. And you deserve it. That's why service excellence is the aim. We take it serious.
Come out to Colonel Cole, Moran Bay on Friday, October 25th for the Government Services Mobile Fair.
That's we are working. We benefit businesses and Jamaicans. Better systems and services for a better Jamaica.
Get free health checks, apply for or renew your passport, register births, deaths, enroll in PATH and HEART programs, all under one roof.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
As we welcome you back, it's time for the business news. In a vibrant showcase of innovation, local Ford dealers, Kingston Industrial Garage, KIG, hosted the regional launch of the highly anticipated 2025 Ford Territory. The event marks a significant milestone for both the dealership and the automotive market as it introduces a family-sized SUV designed to meet the needs of modern drivers. Adrian Williams picks up that report.
Henry Ford, the man behind Ford automobile manufacturing, dates back to the winter of 1893. The company, continuing its innovation, held the 2025 regional launch of the Ford Territory in Kingston, Jamaica. Head of Sales, Marketing and Communications at Kingston Industrial Garage, KIG, Judith Denton, welcomed the launch of what is deemed a vehicle for the right time.
We are proud and pleased to introduce you to the newest member of our SUV family. In the Ford Territory, we know that we have a vehicle that will meet and exceed expectations and needs of customers who are looking for advanced technologies, superb features, and great design. To say that we are excited is an understatement.
The SUV, also highlighted as a family-friendly mobile, has options ranging from $6.6 to $7.6 million.
The Ford Territory come in a right time, a right climate where the market is driven by price, and now we can comfortably say that we can compete with affordable mid-size SUV that a customer comes into KIG, wants an SUV and can comfortably walk into the vehicle and say, yes, I can afford this vehicle.
Managing Director for KIG, Jeffrey Panton, is anticipating a favorable reception from customers.
At KIG, we're always striving to bring the best products to the consumers and the Jamaican market. And we think that this certainly complements our current lineup and the features that it holds for customers, that existing customers and new customers that we have in the future is incredible.
Boasting fuel-efficient features, a 1.8-liter engine, and a 12.3-inch display with wireless charging, Chief Commercial Officer for CVM TV, Carlo Redwood, and the former Miss Jamaica Universe, Shanique Singh, were impressed with the vehicle's features.
So honestly, I think that the Ford Territory looks as if it was made for Jamaican roads. So I can understand why they wanted to launch it in Jamaica, in the Caribbean.
Amazing vehicle. Wow, looks great. I love the size. I love all the features. And it's Ford, so it's high quality. And the price is magnificent. So I'm actually looking at buying a car myself. So it's certainly a car that I'm looking at. But amazing launch, amazing experience, and Ford always does it right.
The new SUV is decked with advanced driver assist features aimed at building confidence on the road. Adrian Williams for CVM News.
And the CVM News at 7 will continue in a moment.
A big deal when we touch the ground. Yeah, a KFC when we're pulling up.
Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is.
That's it, we're closed. I am so sorry, we only have 3 patties left.
It's a Jamaican thing but full of flavor. Hey, we set the trend style major. Juicy patty, have a savor. You know the patty nice when we do the juicy patty bones. Patty bones, patty bones, watch your bones, watch your bones. Hot patty, watch your steam. Juicy patty bones, patty bones, patty bones, watch your bones, watch your bones. Juicy patty, ready for we go. From food I keep in our party. Juicy patty, have something for everybody. So patty for nice. Patty bones, watch your bones, watch your bones. Hot patty, watch your steam. Juicy patty bones. Grab your family and do the juicy patty bones.
That's me on the corner. People don't bother feel like you can predict who is going to be in the shop with me. A ship carry you back at You're controversial. How old were you?
8 years old.
Now we're contemplating. These are the digits.
Oh.
What kind of episode this was? Another junction in life.
I have 2 left foot then, sir.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, man. See the backline of the Nigeria now. This is my show and you will not drop word from me.
They even know them things.
TJ, I can't say that no. You're going to mash up some house.
You know, say barber shop is really there ready to make your cut.
So, what you cut before? The cut, okay. Now I'm where I want to be.
The Cut is brought to you by Flow.
Welcome back. We're at the point where we check out what's buzzing on social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? The Senate is rebuking Integrity Commission Chair Justice Seymour Panton for suggesting that Parliament leaked sensitive information. Deputy President Senator Charles Sinclair is calling for an apology, citing concerns for Parliament and the Office of the Clerk. Here are some of your reactions. At Jahu J writes, "The truth hurts, you know." At Luscious Lemmy shares, "Politics aside, we can't support this level of indiscipline. This attitude transcends social status. We see this in every aspect of our society. We should seek to be balanced in our discourse on matters such as this." At Stamp Frank posts, "Really? Is this a joke? Please get serious." At J Laws comments, "Parliament also needs to apologize to the public." At Lalibella Niles says, "And if he does not apologize, he was being facetious when he mentioned what he did about water, and relatively to need for folks to get their heads checked. It was suggestive tongue-in-cheek language." At Pa_Bear adds, may have, but the same allegations were made by parliamentarians against the IC. Therefore, without a direct accusation, there's no need for an apology. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM_television on Instagram. I'm Courtney Lewis.
Thanks, Courtney. And now, regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. In Barbados, amendments to the country's laws will now see more severe charges being laid against adults who sexually assault minors. The bill was passed in the House of Assembly last week. Here's more from CBC News.
Is under 16 years old. It does not matter whether they were a willing participant. It is no rape. So people used to say before statutory rape, and they meant sex anybody under 16. That wasn't actually true for Barbados because the charge 14 to 16 was sex with a minor. But now we actually do have effectively statutory rape. It does not matter whether the child is consenting, willing, instigated it, set it up. If you have sex with a child under 16 years of age, then that is rape.
The bill also addresses the matter of grooming, which involves a person meeting or communicating with a child with the intention of committing a sexual act. In this instance, the individual could be jailed for 20 years.
Once you're encouraging or trying to cultivate a relationship with a child for the purpose of encouraging that child or getting that child into a sexual act, right, then you are doing something wrong. So you can't dance to the line and just not cross it and use the technicality that, well, nothing happened.
Antigua's Education Ministry has outlined steps to boost security at schools island-wide. This follows recent cases of violence in schools where students have attacked each other, sometimes using weapons. More from ABS TV.
Security has been beefed up at Clare Hall Secondary School following an incident last month in which a student was allegedly spotted with a gun, triggering a temporary lockdown of the school. Director of Education Claire Brown provides the update during an exclusive interview with ABS News.
Since the incident at Clare Hall, we have improved our security protocol there, inclusive of having handheld metal detectors, and if you ever pass across Clare Hall now in the mornings, you see the security guards checking the students to ensure that that they're not bringing anything into the school compound that they should not be bringing.
Turning to the Sir Novel Richards Academy, fencing is complete following a violent confrontation there recently when students of the Harrison Center, Abyss, went onto the compound. The incident resulted in 2 students being charged with wounding and disorderly conduct by fighting.
And in international news now, with less than 3 weeks left for the U.S. presidential elections, a charity dinner that has historically been about good-natured ribbing turned out to be not an entirely jokey affair. Donald Trump made an appearance at the Al Smith charity dinner with his wife Melania, giving an address that resembled a rally with bitter attacks on his rival Kamala Harris, but also made a few gags at his own expense in line with tradition. This report from the BBC.
There's the potential here that the Harris campaign is just making the decision looking at the numbers.